What? Oh. God damn it.
This man is a gamer, one of the last paragons of virtue and defenders of civilized world. He alone stands defiant against the popular trends that poison our society, like accepting different people, nuanced storytelling and characterization, and taking showers. As long as he can play Boob Run Deluxe, he is happy with the state of the world.
I just can't stand when games get so political these days. I mean, can we go back to games like good old-fashioned Metal Gear Solid 2 that don't try to cram their socio-political messages down our throats?
Well, it's been a hot minute since the last... well, any upload anyway. Last year we laughed at the angry reviewer trope, but today we're diving into something a bit skeevier. Today's special brand of brain poison is infiltrating YouTube recommendations and spreading hatred, fake outrage, and worst of all, pure cringe into this otherwise totally wonderful and flawless website. In this day and age, if you have no principles and want to make easy money on YouTube, just start a channel where you tighten your tinfoil hat and claim society and culture is being destroyed by the SJWs, a word that has lost all meaning at this point. If anyone ever dares to have a discussion about progressive themes, these guys, like the anti-intellectuals they are, will be sure to silence and mock them using this or other buzzwords like snowflake, triggered, and my favorite meaningless word, cultural Marxist, which has its origins in Nazi propaganda, but the fans of a certain Canadian professor love to parrot around like it has actual meaning. Any video about gaming or some other nerd subculture is particularly vulnerable to this, because even if the author just wants to have an apolitical discussion of a game, the YouTube algorithm is sure to point you in the direction of videos about how identity politics is ruining gaming or something like that. Here are some particularly blatant examples. Yeah, this party is cool, but I wish there was a way to find the geeks and gamers in the crowd.
This cake is great. It's so delicious and moist.
There's your webcomic reference, guys. I might still make videos about them, but not as a focus. Hey, now this channel doesn't sound too bad. It has such an innocent name. Maybe it's just a general nerd culture channel with trailer reactions and stuff. Surely nothing sinister about... Oh my. Now, I really shouldn't do low blows like this, but this channel puts memes from 2016 like the screeching person and even older ones like freaking troll faces in thumbnails in the current year. In like almost every other video too. But even besides that, this channel uploads multiple times a day to pollute the algorithm, and so many of the videos have just zero content to them. One of the most common tricks in the book is to just upload a video that says, "People are outraged about X," and then it turns out to be just some rando on Twitter with 3 likes. We will get back to this later. As a little experiment, I scrolled down to show videos from the past 7 or 8 months, and hit Ctrl F and then searched for Captain Marvel. More than 100 goddamned hits. And even more if you just include Brie Larson, whom this guy calls the most unlikable person on Earth. To say this guy's obsessed with her is like saying Thanos killed a little bit of people, or like that my upload schedule has been a little erratic. He shit-talked the movie well before it even came out, just like other internet pundits did. Why? Let's take a look at his video, Captain Marvel, The End of the MCU. With such a dramatic name, I'm sure this video carries weight. Well, first he spends half of it reading an article that basically just says, yeah, we're gonna keep having more progressive themes, and I guess add more women and people of color in our cast, I don't know. And then he goes ballistic. He goes on a rant about identity politics and just keep trying to make out like this is somehow bad. And he doesn't even finish reading the article, funnily enough.
Now, the only reason an article like this is being written is because Captain Marvel was a success, and it made past $1 billion. So now we are seeing the pandering to the SJW crowd over and over and over again.
My favorite video from Geeks Plus Gamers is the Metroid Prime 4 delay shows how crazy SJWs are. Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Gamers, if that is your real name, of your insane title. I saw this floating around when it came out in January, but obviously didn't give it a click. But I saw more and more of Geeks and Gamers after that. I had to find out what this was about and how these two things even correlate with each other. Here's how Mr. Gamer says SJWs fit in.
I want to know, why are the SJWs that are always screaming about respecting women and how everybody is so upset with toxic masculinity and women in media and how we're so intimidated by women? In Metroid, the lead character in the Metroid franchise. Now, SJWs, I know you don't know that because you don't play video games, you don't watch movies, you only scream about things when it fits your social narrative. But now we have an industry of predominantly male fans, and I understand that there are women, and it's a female-led game. And yet, I don't hear any of the SJWs that are always talking about representation and equality. Where are you at now celebrating the fact that an entire industry of fans are disappointed because a game with a badass female lead is being delayed, and we're upset that we don't get to play that game?
Well, first there's the rather odd unsourced claim that these supposed SJWs supposedly don't watch movies or play video games like normal human beings do, but merely act outraged at them. He then proceeds to screech words like representation and equality in an annoying voice, as if those concepts are inherently bad, and finally gets to the point of the video, that these supposed SJWs are not angry enough that Metroid Prime 4, a game starring a badass female character that is certainly great representation, was delayed? What? The circular logic here is quite outstanding. He was able to get the word SJW in the title, even though the issue he's talking about has nothing to do with it. The game was delayed, according to Nintendo, to make it better, a decision Mr. G plus G even stands behind. At no point does the hero of us geeks and gamers and gang weeders everywhere actually explain who these SJWs he's railing against are, or go sourcing any actual complaints. Hell, the whole video is about lack of complaints, which must be because almighty Nintendo doesn't play with identity politics like so many other developers, to quote the man himself. Then he rambles on about unrelated things like the Wii and the Wii U being saturated with casual games that real gamers don't care about, before ending the video with, "This just shows the hypocrisy of SJWs and the mainstream media." What exactly shows it, sorry? And where did the media suddenly come into play, apart from the obvious fact that nothing generates outrage clicks more than raging about the super scary MSM? There was literally no substance in this video, but now I have a larger understanding as to how our busy man has been able to upload so consistently. The leafy method of rapid-fire uploads of substandard content truly works. Perhaps I was unfair against him. I love Metroid, which is why I got recommended that previous video in the first place, I guess. But let's take a more recent one than that. Here we go. Mortal Kombat 11 goes full SJW, takes a shot at President Trump.
Mortal Kombat 11 has a Make Outworld Great Again Trump reference. And guess who makes the reference? Oh, you guessed it. Oh, you guessed it. Now a scene depicting the villainous Shao Kahn making reference to Donald Trump is doing the rounds online, with the character stating his intentions to make Outworld great again. I mean, they make the villain of the game say this. Entertainment is not about entertaining anymore. Entertainment is about pushing political and social ideology.
So let me get this straight. You have a channel that is all about calling out these nebulous SJWs for supposed outrage, and then you go completely insane over a mild joke mocking Trump, going on a rant about how entertainment isn't about entertainment anymore, but about pushing politics. Yeah, the real reason NetherRealm and Warner Brothers spent millions of dollars on this game was clearly to get across this message, mocking your precious god emperor. Mr. Gamers is even acting as if he's unraveling some huge conspiracy about the entertainment industry here. Aside from the fact that politics are present in every layer of media already, video games have never shied away from this either. Be it from the critique of objectivism in BioShock, the attacks against abuse of power by patriarchal figures in Persona 5, or commentary on increasing nuclear proliferation in the post-Cold War era in Metal Gear Solid. You get the idea from this point. Women and minorities bad, Trump good, unless he's saying something bad about games, of course. Some gaming videos, mostly whining about Star Wars and Marvel. I like how he can even make the Walmart game ban about the evil SJWs, when it's conservatives who seem to be going after the video games here.
So what I want to ask you is this. Why are politics and socio-political commentary inherently bad in video games? I mean, other forms of media have been doing it for ages, and games included. Now, shouldn't we encourage this to make gaming a more respectable medium? Man, I just want to break from all this politics. That's exactly why I'm dragging political issues everywhere where they don't belong, and why I'm ceaselessly finding examples on social media and putting them out on my blog, which tells you the truth that the mainstream media doesn't tell you. I mean, it's so simple. The formula is so simple. The lower the percentage of white people in your game is, the more political it is. That's why this is the most political game ever made.
Speaking of having an obsession with certain figures, No Bullshit is another channel that knows all about it. What did Brie Larson even say that made her so hated? Well, she said that film critics tend to be overwhelmingly white males and cites a study that confirms this. My god, the devil herself. Yeah, and this is why the entire anti-SJW sphere on YouTube lost their minds and started spreading misinformation with the tune of Brie Larson wants to kill all white men. This dude even has a series dedicated to mocking AOC, even down to mocking her accent and name for no reason. These kind of channels have been losing their minds over her statement about climate change's effects becoming irreversible in about 12 years unless we do something about it, and of course, lacking in nuance and subtlety, took it to mean the world is gonna literally explode in 12 years. When she tries to explain that no, that's not what she said, no BS or the likes will say she's backpedaling on the issue. Unlike the fine folks at Geeks Plus Gamers, No BS has no problem stretching his videos to the optimum length of 10 plus minutes despite near daily uploads. Because of this, I probably shouldn't even lambast the low production values at play here. There's really no pacing to these videos, it's just a man rambling on top of footage that is occasionally relevant to the topic, and occasionally just random gameplay. Here's some more hot takes from No BS. One of his many criticisms of SJW moments in Avengers Infinity War is Hulk's lack of presence in the movie, which is, to him, an attack on the very concept of manhood.
The next and second worst SJW part of Infinity War has to do with Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, who, besides a quick fight with Thanos at the beginning, well, besides that, we hardly even see the Hulk in this movie. After he loses to Thanos, the Hulk refuses to come out for Banner, who is then stuck in his human form for almost the whole movie. And at face value, that might not seem like such a bad thing. It sounds like they're trying to mix things up a bit, but when you combine this with the disrespect from Shuri, well, it's starting to seem like the Hulk is a victim of the SJW agenda here. Think about it. The Hulk is the biggest and strongest and, dare I say, most manly Avenger. Do you really think it's a coincidence that he all of a sudden can't Hulk out here too? He's basically...
The fact that this guy equates uncontrollable rage with masculinity is perhaps the biggest cell phone I have seen on YouTube. Even God of War is not manly enough for this guy. But again, that's just one dumb thing he said. Surely it's all just involuntarily, but No BS has had problems with accuracy before. See, for example, 3 Arrows' response on his Dunkirk video. Or when he responded to a channel that actually had sources in it with homophobic insults and him just disputing these facts with his own opinions. And yet he somehow succeeds in accusing the video he's mocking of the exact same thing.
Like us, your family and friends are always pestering about when you're gonna have a kid, and you're like, better not. Here's some scientific evidence as to why you probably shouldn't have a kid.
And we can already see the confirmation bias coming around the corner here like a freight train. Choo choo. These gay guys don't want to have kids. Probably ever. So in order to cope and make themselves feel better, they went out on the internet to find science, which will confirm their biases. Pretty much the textbook definition of confirmation bias, actually.
Let's take a look at SJW moments in Red Dead Redemption 2 and see what he's all about. Well, actually, the guy pretty much renders his own video pointless in the first few minutes by pointing out, correctly, that Rockstar is already known for political and social commentary. The GTA series has had a ton of satire against the American right, from the neo-fascist Reagan-Bush-era Congressman Alex Schrupp from Vice City to the even less subtle Republican Space Rangers from GTA 4.
Spreading American values. Sometimes you gotta bomb an orphanage or two. Republican Space Rangers.
So basically he just included this dreaded SJW acronym in the title just for clicks, as what he defines as SJW moments are just whenever the game takes a stance on, well, anything. The complaints he does have are unbelievably petty and stupid, as if claiming that Charles sounds like a modern day SJW by merely mentioning that he's half black, half Native American. The whole point of the conversation is to highlight Dutch's worldview, but somehow No BS equates this to a millennial from 2016 complaining about racism, because after all, racism does not exist today in any shape or form. I mean, the guy goes on a tangent comparing RDR2 to The Last Jedi, claiming that the Star Wars movie went overboard with its pro-woman, anti-male messages. Or his wonderful complaint that the new Purge movie made the cops appear racist and anti-black, when, in his words, they're really not. I'm not even trying to make a stance or prove him wrong here. It's just amazing how this guy can brush aside entire arguments about police brutality or discrimination with just well, that's not true. No sources or anything. So while this video is ostensibly about Red Dead Redemption 2, it's just no BS bitching about other media he doesn't like. Probably his only actual complaint is about Arthur taking the sides of the Native Americans, with no BS wishing the game would have had a more nuanced take and tried to look at things from both sides, while literally agreeing that the natives were being genocided and driven off their own land. But like, both sides! Someone listen to us centrists! Probably the worst no bullshit video I have personally seen, and there are just too many for me to watch unfortunately, is the fairly new Rocko's Modern Life video. Of course, it's about Rachel Bighead being transgendered. It's not really the main plot of the new special, despite what No BS claims, and this is a show created by a man who has always been a progressive. It's not even a Netflix special as the title claims, but was produced for Nickelodeon years ago, but then turned down until Netflix got a hold of it. Hell, No BS himself reads this very fact out loud in the video. If anything, it seems like Netflix is doing a good thing by putting a piece of otherwise lost media on to be enjoyed by millions of people. But this video is kind of a train wreck. Most of the runtime goes to just reading Wikipedia word for word.
Modern Life is an American animated television series created by Joe Murray for Nickelodeon. This series centers on the surreal life of an anthropomorphic Australian immigrant wallaby named Rocko and his friend. After being in space for 20 years following the previous show's finale, well, now Rocko and his friends return to the late 2010s era O-Town with modern amenities such as constantly updating touchscreen phones, radioactive energy drinks, food trucks, and coffee shops on every corner.
And then he just complains about this character for the rest of the video. Ironically enough, the whole theme of this special is about accepting how the world and people around you change and evolve, but I digress. He then reads how people are apparently, surprise surprise, liking the fact that Joe Murray included this storyline, but it dismisses this as just liberal nonsense. And then he goes on to say that most people who watched Rocko's Modern Life when it first aired were nerdy white guys like him, and that most women didn't watch it. Again, no sources to back this up, this is all just based on his feelings. Hurt feelings. Almost as if No BS is just a little triggered by this.
Aren't you seeing this so-called SJW propaganda in places that it doesn't actually exist? Aren't you just a little bit paranoid? I'm sorry, what were you asking?
Okay, next up on our channel list is The Quartering. You know what? Whatever. It's the guy who got mad that a show dared to say that being gay is okay and that the main character is too flat for his taste or whatever. Not sure why he expected She-Ra and the Princesses of Power to be the kind of entertainment he wanted, but whatever. When it comes down to it, these channels are all the same. They cry about everything even remotely progressive that appears in their media, despite mocking the supposed SJWs for doing the same. They misrepresent people's statements and take things out of context, just like they accuse others of doing. And they act so predictably that most people saw videos like No Bullshit's Rocko one coming a mile away. Funny how the NPC meme ended up being created to mock leftists, but ended up being such an apt descriptor for these kind of channels. Sargon of Akkad isn't really even relevant to this discussion anymore, as he's too busy running down political parties he gets involved with. But his other channel, Big Brain Time, The Thinkery, is pretty much the same shit as No BS and Geeks Plus Gamers. That is, mostly reading random articles and occasionally finishing them and getting outraged. Or, just like in the case of the angry reviewers, pretending to be outraged for that sweet sweet money. I suppose he has the deserved title of CEO of Reactionaries. So they've come for our cartoons and cinematic universes and video games, but what could they come after next? Our boners. Our boner culture. In other words. If that sounds absolutely stupid to you, then congrats, you're a sane person who thinks normally. You don't have a blog titled One Angry Gamer, who by the way has Sargon's stamp of approval. Doing good work as always, he says.
But anyway, right, so let's go through. Thank God One Angry Gamer is doing good work as usual.
He is, like the others listed here, a hero for free speech. And by that I mean he makes sure our 3D boobs are not censored. A man who, like Sargon, is mad about the upcoming Doom movie because it has females in it, and not about the movie looking like ass. A man who claims that people are oppressing his identity as a gamer, but will accuse others of playing identity politics. And despite this, the hypocrite is celebrating literal censorship in Alabama. This website, see the ads in the sidebar there, very tasteful, will not hesitate to exploit tragedies, and will go as far as spouting anti-immigrant rhetoric in the wake of a mass shooting, or shouting slurs when people criticize a game he likes. His fanbase is equally charming, advocating for fascism when threatened by a gay character in games. It doesn't seem like OAG likes any mainstream games really. He seems to really think that games like Boob Run Deluxe are what will destroy the oppressive regimes of Steam and the Epic Store. Guys, I have a free tip that will help you see all the anime titties you want. You know what? The gourmet takes coming from this blog are endless. Here's a few. Speaking of profiting from tragedy, this seems to be a running trend here. As unbelievable as it sounds, there's a no bullshit video called Leftists Exploit Tragedy in Vegas that has sponsored content in it. Or when Sargon made a video on the same day when Stan Lee died to shit on some randos on Twitter for thinking he's problematic or whatever. And this is what I meant by what I said earlier about Geeks plus Gamers. These guys are looking for things to get offended about. And not even to make society any better, but for money. I tell you, the only good angry gamer is the angry video game nerd. But for the guys I talked about here, maybe it's just a video game, man. Maybe instead of being reactionary, you could focus your energies on improving the medium that you claim to love. Or even go out and plant a tree or donate to save the rainforest or something. That's what the world needs right now. You don't have to be so angry. Just as a warning example, do you really want to be like this guy here? Now this goofy YouTuber here is so angry about the Jax ending in Mortal Kombat 11 that is just one ending out of many of a single player campaign of a fighting game. This is the ending where Jax travels back in time to stop slavery, and this is somehow bad? Well, this guy seems to think it's white genocide that this silly ending exists in a video game.
So, thanks a lot for watching. I think my next video is going to be finally the part 3 of my Evangelion analysis. Maybe then followed by some game analysis and... Oh no. Jax, please. Please don't do it. Please. Oh, I guess my time has come.